welcome to West Country Wanderings. Today we're at Cheltenham Spa, but we're not going to Cheltenham Spa today. We're not doing the two spa towns all over again. We're actually going to catch the next train up to Worcestershire Parkway and make our way down towards the southwest direction from there to visit a county we've not visited before on this channel. So why not join me here on West Country Wanderings.
Face covering while in stations and travelling on public transport, and remember, some passengers have invisible disabilities.
So here we are at Worcestershire Parkway. Now, we've been here before, Cotswold Way 10. I changed trains here and caught the train on the upper level, platform 3 I think it is, which is the Worcester to Oxford and Paddington line. We caught it to Evesham and I caught the bus to Broadway to complete the final northern leg section of the Cotswold Way. But we're not doing the Cotswold Way again today. I'm waiting for the train which goes on to Hereford. It's the London Paddington to Hereford train, and so this will be the first time that West Country Wanderings is doing a video in the county of Herefordshire. Now, I have briefly visited the county before when I did the Autumnal Goad video. I briefly went to Ross-on-Wye and did some bits and pieces of the woodland there with the autumnal colour, but I haven't covered it properly before. So I'm going to catch the train towards Hereford. I'm not going to Hereford today, I'm actually going to Ledbury, which is a lovely market town. Before I tell you a bit about Ledbury, I'll actually tell you a little bit about Herefordshire. So I'll put a map up now, so if you're not familiar with the West Country area, you'll be able to see where Herefordshire is. Herefordshire lies to the west of the county of Worcestershire. So I'm in Worcestershire at the moment, so Herefordshire is to the west of that and slightly to the southwest of it, but it also goes up as far as Shropshire, where it links up with Worcestershire, and you've got that town I have mentioned before, we'll go to there, Tenbury Wells. So that is very close to where the three counties of Worcestershire, Shropshire and Herefordshire meet. The other interesting thing about Herefordshire is most of its western edge, its western border, borders the nation of Wales. Now, Worcestershire Parkway is great for filming. It does get busy in phases. The train I was in, which was going to Nottingham via Birmingham New Street, was actually really busy, and lots of people got off the train from here when it stopped here, and it would, off and on. So it was busy both ways. A few minutes later, that train's now gone, and it's all quiet again. I'm the only person standing on this platform at the moment, and as you can see, there is another platform, a third platform, which is the one I'm going to go up to at the moment to catch the train towards Ledbury. It's a through train, so it's going to be stopping at places like Worcester Foregate Street, Worcester Shrub Hill, making its way down through the county of Herefordshire down to Ledbury. So while I'm waiting for my train towards Ledbury, just tell you a little bit about the town. The town is named after the River Leadon, which actually works its way back down towards Gloucester, where we were the other day. It was mentioned in the Domesday in fact it was mentioned before that in some 636, I do believe. It also has a number of fantastic timber framed buildings and is well known for its central marketplace and also Church Lane, which we'll have a look at in detail. It also is famous for its poets, and I'll tell you more about that when we get there, so why not join me on the journey here to Ledbury. momentarily at Ledbury Station. That's my train that I've just got off of, just leaving now, heading on towards Hereford. First thing to show you here at Ledbury before we walk in the town's about half a mile from the town centre, is the fantastic signal box. Now if you go onto Wikipedia, you'll see a great detailed description of the signal box. It goes into realms and detail which I won't go into now, so if you are interested in signal boxes, I highly recommend you have a look at that. It tells you about all the levers. It has a really complicated signal system between here and Malvern. There is a tunnel which we've just come through, and there is a block section which obviously, because it's single track tunnel, they have to do. It's obviously because you can have two trains going in opposite directions at the same time, so it tells you how that's all worked out. So it's really interesting, and it's just right in front of me. I'm going to make my way now into the town centre, so why not join me on a tour here of the lovely market town at Ledbury. Now, as well as having that fantastic sign, Ledbury Change for Poetry, I've just spotted this on the walk into town, Masefield Avenue, and of course that refers to the poet John Masefield, more of which in a bit. Just had a fantastic tour of the inside of Ledbury Church. I've just been blown away. There's actually a painting by Titian inside, certainly from his workshop, which was brought back for many, many years. It wasn't actually thought to be anything to do with Titian at all, but I'll insert a picture of it now. The most famous poet to come from Ledbury, or certainly lived in Ledbury for most of her life, was one Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Now, there is a village not that far, just over the border back into Gloucestershire, called Dymock, and we'll be going there at some point here on this channel to look at all the other poets that have links to that. So Dymock has got links here to Ledbury, here in Herefordshire. But there's another famous poet from this town here in Herefordshire, and that was the poet laureate John Masefield. And as we saw the start walking into the town, we've come across obviously a street named after him. He's got loads of connections. One of the things I've just come across in the church, the church tower is separated from the main body of the church, and John Masefield took a great deal of interest in the church bells, and he started a campaign back in the 1930s to get those restored. Well, pleased to report that just a few years ago, I think it's 2018, the church bells, all 10 of them, have been completely recast and reinstalled back in the church tower here at Ledbury, and there is a small exhibition at the base of the tower to tell you all about it. Really fascinating and interesting bit of history. I'd love to hear those bells ring properly. I've just heard it ding a couple of times. Not sure, I think we'll probably have to wait till it comes up to the hour again at 3 o'clock, and so we can actually hear what they sound like. But the church itself is full of remarkable interest, some beautiful stained glass. It's a decorated church, so it's a bit older than Norman times. So we're looking at around the late 1100s that most of it was built, and it's built in a soft red sandstone, in common with a lot of the other churches in this area. Very different to the Cotswold churches that we saw on the Cotswold Way. There is another beautiful painting of the Last Supper which sits behind. Oh, there we go. There's the bells. Right on cue. I think it's 2:30. Right on cue there. But yeah, that sits behind that. And I also found a memorial to the sister of the writer H. Riger Hadgard. Now, he wrote adventure novels, and his sister was married to the vicar here at Ledbury, and I'll insert a clip of that now. Apart from the marketplace itself, two other really important buildings in Ledbury. One is called Ledbury Park, a bit of a strange name because it's not actually a park as we would normally think about it. It's actually a huge Tudor pile mansion, and it's got links to the English Civil War. Just insert a photograph of that now in the plaque, which gives you a little bit more information. So if you just pause, I'll zoom in, bit of DVE, and yeah, if you just pause that, it'll give you all the information on that. So that's stunning. That lays at one end of the high street, at the higher end of the high street, the opposite end to the railway station end. The other thing to tell you about is St Catherine's Hospital. Now, it's not a hospital as we would think of them today, which are normally very large buildings in cities which are central hubs for healthcare. This was a small town hospital. It's not actually a cottage hospital, because that came later, but this one had many buildings associated with it, including a hall, a chapel, and lots of almshouses. So I'll insert some photographs of when I was in that area now. It wasn't until the reign of Queen Elizabeth I that Ledbury started becoming wealthy. Prior to that, it was actually quite a poor town. It was just manorial links to huge estates which were owned by the church. This is obviously pre-Reformation, so talking the Church of England churches that were around, and also the manors and abbeys that were in the area. So it had links to that, and obviously it was a settlement on the River Leadon, hence its name as I mentioned here. It then got its wealth from 3 local clothier families, and they're called Skype. That's spelt nothing to do with the app for getting in touch with other people. It's spelled S-K-Y-P-P-E. The other 2 families were Skinner, S-K-Y-N-N-E-R, and Elton, E-L-T-O-N. So those 3 wealthy clothier families brought a lot of considerable wealth here into the town of Ledbury. A couple of other railway and canal things which obviously I do tend to highlight on my channel, and if you're watching this video the first time one you've seen on my channel, just to let you know, if you go on to my channel, you'll see it's divided into a number of playlists. So there are separate ones for canals and separate ones for railways. There's also ones for Gloucestershire, Cornwall and Devon, and one for all the other counties I visit. At the moment this will be in the other West Countries counties for this first one in Herefordshire. It may become a separate one as we go on. But in terms of canals in Ledbury, there was the Herefordshire and Gloucestershire Canal, and this opened in 1798. It wasn't a tremendous success. There were some wharves down the bottom end of the town. I can't remember what the wharves were called, but when the canal closed, part of it was then used to build the then new railway, and I put in the date when it opened, between Ledbury and Gloucester. Now sadly that had also closed in 1964, and part of the track bed of that now is used for the current road bypass, which takes a lot of the traffic away from the centre of the town, which obviously is great because the main roads are quite narrow because of those Tudor buildings. So yeah, that's why today I've actually come here by rail. I had to come up via more sort of a circuitous route, which you wouldn't use if you come up by road. I came up towards Worcester and then cut across down to Ledbury. But in the old days you would have been able to have just changed at Gloucester and got a train straight across here into Herefordshire. Now I'm currently at the site of another railway station. In fact, there was 2 railway stations in Ledbury. Obviously the one where I got the train from today, but that's the far end of the high street. It's actually probably a 10-15 minute walk. But there was another station here in Ledbury, and I'm actually standing at the remains of it at the moment, and you can probably see that railway fencing there behind me. I'll just come out here a bit. There is a delightful walk. It's called the Ledbury Walk, and you'll see the fence behind me, which we'll rejoin in a second. And this line to my left, your right, was the line that went direct between Ledbury and Gloucester, and it's now been turned into a delightful walk called the Ledbury Walk. I think it's about 2 miles long, and we're going to follow that now, because rather than retrace my steps back to the railway station, I'm going to go back out and follow it, the course of the old line, till where it met the main line between Worcester and Hereford. Now, though I'm doing the 7-way next year, actually it might not be next year, because by the time this video lands it probably already is next year. I'm filming this right at, I think it's the day before Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve even. So by the time this lands it'll actually probably be in 2022 by the time you get to see this, so Happy New Year. And what I was going to say is that obviously I'm doing this 7-way, as you know if you've been following my channel, this year, if you're watching this in 2022. And the river which runs through Hereford isn't the Severn, sorry, the Herefordshire, and indeed the city of Hereford, but it's in fact the why. And as we revisit or go to other places in Herefordshire over the next few months on my channel, we will discover places that the River Wye runs through. It's a beautiful river, runs through this county. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed my first visit to the county of Herefordshire. It most certainly will not be the last here on this channel on West Country Wanderings. I'll be back in this county again before too long. One of the places I'll go to will be the city itself, of course, which is only, if I'd stayed on that train I got off, probably another 10-15 minutes that would have taken me into the city of Hereford, so that's quite a likely journey. And as the weather improves, of course, we'll be visiting lots of the countryside in Herefordshire, the glorious countryside for which Herefordshire is famous, the rolling hills of this county here, which lies to the west and to the north of Worcestershire and Gloucester, which, as was said before, makes up the three counties, and is famous for that, for the three cities, and indeed the three cathedrals, which we'll also discover here together. Well, that's all from West Country Wanderings for today. If you like the video, please hit the like button, perhaps consider a share or a comment if you've been to Herefordshire. I'd really love to hear from you, and maybe consider a subscribe to the channel. But until next time, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, all the best. Cheers now, take care, bye bye.